Hi guys, welcome back to another episode of Daisy Diaries. I am here with the lovely and very special Jenicka.
Hi.
Thank you.
Hi guys, I'm excited.
Thank you so much for coming and
I
being
love
here.
this.
You know what? A lot a people don't like it, but I kind of like it.
It's a vibe.
It's a vibe.
It's
I'll get
cool.
mic stands on the next
No,
one.
I like it.
I'm like,
It's like my little accessory.
yeah, I like it, but definitely when I went to your podcast, I was like, oh, it's actually so much easier without
It is.
the microphone.
It is, but it's different. It's different. I like
it's
it though.
different, and this is just the third episode, so I'm gonna get better. So I asked Jenicka to be a part of my podcast because I admire you so much, and over the past few days, ever since I even met you, I just feel like you're a person that has a lot of wisdom, and you bring a lot of light, and I think it's so crazy because we're the same age. But I'm like, oh my God, I feel like your wisdom is so beyond your age that it's like incredible and it's beautiful.
Thank you.
And I just wanted to sit here and have girl talk, you know?
course.
My podcast is like a diary. So it's whatever you want to fill this episode, this chapter of the diary with. And I really just want to dig into your life.
Oh.
I feel like because you grew up in the spotlight and with your siblings and everything, I kind of just want to know, how was it like growing up? How was it from your perspective?
Okay, well, first of all, thank you. Thank you for inviting me. It's an
course.
honor. I love going on other podcasts, and I love this whole concept of the diary and like just having little girl talk. So I really, really appreciate it. Well, okay. Well, the way I grew up, obviously, if people don't know, obviously grew up in the spotlight. My mom was who she was and who she still is. And I think as far as like wisdom wise, like both of my parents had passed away.
Yeah.
So I think from there I had to grow up fast.
Yeah.
Like I had to mentally, okay, so what am I going to do about work? How am I going to make money? How am I going to help support my siblings?
At what age did these
I
thoughts start coming
was
in?
12 when my dad passed away. So even then I was kind of like, it wasn't in the back of my head because I always had my mom.
Yeah.
But then my mom passed away when I was 15. And 15 is like,
You're like
barely in high
hitting
school.
puberty and
yes, it's like you're still figuring out, like, what they ask you, what do you want to be with when you grow up? And I'm like, I don't know, so at that time I'm like, okay, so what exactly am I gonna do? And it was always, and everybody always like kind of bashes me or tells me like, oh, you've never had a real job. But it was really hard for me to get a real job, like because of the reality show, because of getting recognized everywhere. I would have loved to have a regular person job and do whatever, but I was, I had to do things differently. And I always hated like the spotlight. I genuinely hated like being the center of attention. Like it just wasn't who I was. And I was like, this is just going to be part of who I am. What am I going to do? What am I going to work around, or how am I going to live with this, basically? Yeah. So then I just, I started social media influencing. And then from there, everything just kind of did its thing. I started to be like, okay, well, you know what? I'm going to be different. I'm going to do what I feel comfortable with, share what I want to share.
Yeah.
And yeah, I have I don't know if you know, well, but I have 2 brothers, 2 sisters, and a whole lot of nephews and nieces. So
I love that you're an auntie.
I love it too.
I feel
they're
like
my babies.
I'm looking forward to that era of my life.
I think you would fall in love.
But I don't want kids still.
Yeah, I know. Exactly. That's why I'm like, I'm happy being an auntie. Like it changes everything.
Does it really?
Yes. Like it brings you so much joy. Like they heal my inner child. Like really? I look at them, I'm like, oh my God, like,
oh, I think that's beautiful.
Yeah, like they just like they come to me and I'm like, thank you for loving me this much. Like, and I want to love them and give them like everything that I have. I promise you, Daisy, like everything I own is under their name, like
really?
Legally. Yes.
Oh my God, that's so
like
beautiful.
Nothing goes. Everything that I have goes to them. Like if someone were to have me the day of tomorrow,
I'm gonna need my sister to hurry up.
I know.
But I wanna say that I watched the first episode that you did a year ago with your sisters.
Oh yes.
It was such a beautiful episode. I watched the entire thing and I was like, wow. I also like your podcast is so beautiful.
Thank you.
I watched even the This Is Me episode, and I love that you created that podcast to make people, how you said, uncomfortable and step out of their comfort zone. And you even stepped out of your comfort zone. And I think people could also see that I also stepped out of my comfort zone.
Yes.
I love the platform that you have built for creators, for anyone.
Thank you.
Literally, it just feels so inviting and it feels like everyone's just welcomed.
Thank you.
And I love it. So I watched that episode and I remember you saying, like, you were talking about, you were very vulnerable and you talked about your insecurities, but I'm like, that is so crazy because Jenicka, you have so much confidence.
Thank you.
You're so confident that I was like it, that episode was a year ago. So I'm like, how, like you exude, is that the correct word? Exude confidence.
That's a good word.
It's a good, I don't even know where that came from. Sometimes I have these words and I'm like, is that even a real word? But how, like, I just want to know how you have so much confidence.
Honestly, I don't know.
Really?
I seriously, when I was younger, I had a lot of problems. Like in that episode I had a lot of trouble being compared to my sisters.
I also want to talk about that.
Yeah, like I always, my Cheekies was always skinnier, Jackie was always skinnier, and then there was me. And like I would be like the ugly duckling, and people would call me that. Or like, so it would always be in the back of my head. I'm like, what the fuck am I doing? Like, why am I crying about this? Like, so then I put my ass to work. I wanted to feel good about myself, first of all. Like, before anything, I wanted to feel good about the person, about my body, about my health, and mentally as well. I started going to therapy, which was like huge on me. Like, and I had to heal things that I went through with my mom.
Yeah.
Like the way I grew up. Like we've always had the fad diets. Like we would always do whatever diet was in at the time. Like we did them.
Did it.
And I would work out 5 a.m. with my mom. So it's kind of like I was programmed that way. And it wasn't because I wanted to. And obviously she did it with so much love and with wanting to take care of me. And I honor and respect her for that as well. Because now I have a lot of discipline because of it. But I wasn't always like that. Like I always hated being compared to them. So this last year, when I started therapy and kind of working on myself and doing the work, the inner work, I was like, okay, this is what's going on. How am I going to fix it for myself? And honestly, it's blessed me a lot. Like we've talked about it too on my podcast. Like therapy is like the best thing
it is
anybody can do for themselves. I feel like that's what helped me and healed me in a lot of things, in a lot of aspects, for sure. But I don't know, girl. I was like, I'm gonna be a bad bitch. I'm gonna get my surgeries and I'm gonna do it anyways.
Period.
Like,
fucking period.
Like, yes.
Something I feel like I didn't really talk about my insecurities in therapy. I feel like I never really got to talk about that, but what really helped me was mirror work. Have you done mirror work? For those that don't know and that are listening, mirror work is you literally stand in front of the mirror and you say these positive affirmations.
Yes.
And that's what really helped me build my confidence was mirror work, and then also a little bit of therapy because I got to understand why some of the things that I was going through. But talking about the being compared to your sisters, you're the youngest.
I'm the youngest
sister.
girl, yeah.
I'm the oldest, right? So I see it from my perspective where it's my younger sisters telling me like people are always comparing us to you. And I'm like, I hate that.
Yeah.
I hate that so much. And, you know, like growing up, my sisters would, and I want to get your perspective on this because I am the older sister and they're younger and they almost kind of see me as like a role model in a way. They were like, I had asked, you know, my sisters like, how was your experience in high school? And they were like, well, I hated it because of you. And I was like, what do you mean? And she was like, because a lot of people just wanted to get close to me to get close to you. And I was like, oh my God, I never thought about it that way. So, you know, Daphne was like, I feel like I never really had friends because I couldn't trust anyone because they would like ask me questions about you and they didn't care about me. And I was like, oh my God, like that sucks. And then the internet pinning you against your sisters, it gets very ugly because
there's like stories that created for no reason.
That, and it's just like, I don't know why the internet loves to pin sisters against each other, whether it's physical or like just anything in general. And I think it's so ugly. And I always had to constantly remind them, like, look, like I'm me, you're you, like you can do whatever you want with social media, your platform, you know, like find your passion. You know, I don't want you guys to think that you have to follow my footsteps. I'm here to guide you. I was like, but you know, I'm just here for support. And I think when, I mean, I don't know, like, what would be your perspective, because you're the youngest and you've had like all your sisters and your mom. Like,
Yeah.
do you feel like, did you get lost on the way? Did you like really have to find yourself more than your other siblings? Like, what was?
Definitely, yeah, because I look up to my sisters all the time, you know, and I'm very different from them in a sense, and that's where like I learned a lot from them, which I appreciate.
Yeah.
You know, and when it comes to like internet wise or whatever, like, you know, the looks and all that stuff, like, yeah, it would bother me. It would bother me a lot. But then I learned I can choose how am I going to be beautiful in my own way.
Yes.
You know, and I always saw it like, damn, like it would be the same thing. And I kind of get where Daphne's coming from, because I felt like people would get to me to get to my sister, cheekies, specifically. And it was kind of like, okay. And I had friendships like that where like they would come, they would be my friends, then they would end up working for her. And it would be very uncomfortable for me. And then it puts us in that situation like,
it's kind of awkward. Like,
yes, it's like, okay, where are we gonna still be friends?
Like, where does
I can't
the
hang out with you
loyalty
because
lie?
yes, and so and it's like, which is fine. Like, I would love for my friends to have a job, right? But it was like, okay, for example, days that we would hang out, they can't hang out because they're working.
For your sister.
Yeah, and that's where I had a personal conversation with my sister. Like, okay, let's respect our boundaries. You know, and even with Jackie too. Like, there's certain situations where like, okay, we're friends. Like, we're sisters at the end of the day.
Yeah.
You know. And it's going to be us at the end of the day. Like, fuck my friends, fuck everybody else. At the end of the day, I'm going to have my sisters. I'm going to ride for them and be for them. So these are the boundaries that we all need to respect each other. And I think that's what people lack also, like having boundaries.
Having boundaries
is so important. It makes a lot, even if they don't understand, it's kind of like you kind of got to set them, and it makes the relationship so much better.
You know what? Now that you're saying that, I don't think I've ever sat down with my sisters and we've set boundaries. I think because we didn't grow up together.
Yeah.
Like, I lived in a separate house, and you know, the only ones that grew up together are Daphne and Nicole. So I don't know, but I've never, that just kind of gives me an insight of like, maybe that's something I really want to work towards.
It's like letting them know, like, this is how it makes me feel as a person.
Yeah.
Like, I love you and I want to respect you. Is there anything that I can do for you?
Yeah. Having that, like, I admire, because even in the podcast, you know, when you were telling your sisters, like, you know, it's not your insecurity, it's my insecurity, or it's my problem, it's not your problem. I'm like, you guys are so mature and have set such healthy boundaries. Also, your sisters are so much older than you.
Yeah.
So I'm like, crap, you know, I'm the older sister and I'm 26. So
I never had to go through like the high school thing though.
I don't know, man. Like,
I don't know what would happen if we did. Like, if we were so close in age like that.
Yeah, so we're all 2 years apart. Like, so I'm 4 years from Daphne, but she's 2 years from like Nicole, and like, so we're all super close, and like I don't know. It's just it's very difficult, I would say,
sure.
And I don't know. I think the sister dynamic is just like, I feel like only people that have sisters will understand that, like.
But having a sister is like the best thing too.
It's the best thing, and like at the end of the day, like those are the people that you're gonna have, even when like you don't have friends or anyone or relationships or whatever it is. So it's beautiful, and it's a rough journey as well, because you're bound to bump heads, you're bound to argue or whatever it is. So it's just a matter of setting boundaries, which is something that, you know, I feel like everybody should have. I feel like there's still ways that I can improve as a sister or as a daughter, as a friend. I feel like there's always room for improving. Something else that I also that you also talked about was that you have social anxiety, and I would have never figured that out.
I do.
Dude,
I mean, it's gotten better.
Okay.
But like certain events, and I'm sure like you can get it like at events, random ass ones, like I don't want to go. Because everybody has their group and everybody has their thing. And then what happens is that I can't take a +1. So that I'm standing there by myself. And then I get like, all right, like what am I doing here? Yeah. You know what I mean? And I get the content and I dip. But I do have social anxiety.
You're like, I dip.
I know, but it's true. Like, obviously, I'm grateful. Like, brands, like, I'm so happy. But it's like, I dread it because everyone, at least in LA, like I just feel like everyone has this like attitude, and it makes me feel very uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And I have this problem, and I get it a lot on my podcast. Like I can't look or talk to people in their eyes.
Really?
I always look around.
Really?
Yes.
I'm like,
and
you're
I've
looking at me
gotten
dead in
better.
the eyes.
I could, girl, because I've been working on it. But like, and I talk too much with my hands or whatever.
I
like,
love being expressive with my
yes,
hands. I do. I love it, girl. I'm
no, but like a lot of people have a problem with it, and it's like, okay, I get it.
but it's
I
you.
was
Like,
yes.
don't change that about. I love that. I'm
Thank
also
you.
very expressive with my hands. You know, I get social anxiety when I'm at a club, but not at events. Isn't that so weird? Because like I love going to events by
Why?
myself.
Really?
I love going places by
I
myself.
could never.
And
I mean, I could, but yeah, I could.
You're like, I could, but I don't want to. But even if it's like restaurants,
I could do
events,
that.
I just love going into places and having to talk to strangers. I just
Really?
I don't know. I'm like a social butterfly in that aspect. But if I'm at a club where, you know, anything can happen, like I feel like being at a club is more vulnerable and like a shooting happening versus an event or something. Like I get social anxiety like at clubs just because like, which is so weird though. Like at clubs or like festivals and stuff, I get more anxiety in that aspect versus like events or like meeting new people. But yeah, it's weird.
I mean, I love taking myself out on dates.
Yeah, me too.
Like I love going. I could do the movies by myself. Like I could go to dinner. I could do all that by myself.
I tried the movies one time by myself, and it was the worst experience ever.
Why?
It was the worst experience ever, girl. Because I went high as fuck, and I shouldn't have done that. Because I was literally sitting by myself. And I just felt like everybody was like, why is this weirdo at the movies by herself? I walked out.
You thought everybody was
I
like
thought everybody was
peeking.
like, but I'm like, Daisy, you're at the movies. And I just was overthinking. I was like, okay, I'll just stick to the restaurants because the movies is just not the vibe.
Okay, but maybe let's not go high next time.
Yeah. That was, I don't do that anymore. But when that happened, I was just like, oh my gosh. But
yeah. No, but it's fun. It's like something like I don't have to talk to anybody. Like at least for me, I just let me eat a good ass meal and just sit there and enjoy. I like people watching though. Like I like making stories in my head.
You know where I love to go people watching?
Where?
At Panera.
Why?
I love Panera because old people go there and I love old people and they're so cute. But
that's true.
Panera is one of my favorite restaurants
ever.
Panera. I love Panera.
What's your order?
I always get the chicken Caesar salad with the chips, or I get the BLT sandwich with the tomato soup and the bread. I also love their charged lemonades, all three of them. I love their cookies. I love their bread.
Have you tried their
the margarita pizza?
No.
Oh,
but I have that.
Okay,
that's good. The muffin top things?
No.
It's like the top of the muffin.
No,
I forgot what it's called. They just slice the top of the muffin.
What are you talking about? I've never heard about that.
I forgot what it. I don't know what it's called. Top? Yes, it's like the muffin. Okay, muffin. No, you cut the top, and they just give you that.
No,
it is so good, Daisy.
Really?
Yes.
Damn, I have to go.
I'm gonna see if I can order it right now, so you can try it because I love it so much. But you know why? My sister had that as her pregnancy craving, and ever since then, like we be fucking those shits up. But yeah, I love Panera is actually an interesting place, but I love sitting like at Starbucks or going and I stare at them and I make the stories in my head. Like
I always do that too. I'm like, what job do you have?
You're a millionaire.
I do. I did that at Coachella this year where I was just looking at random people and I'm like, I wonder what they do. And I was like, that person probably works here and works here.
Yes,
I love to people watch too. It's very therapeutic.
Coachella's a good place because then you look like I'm like, what are you doing?
Are you gonna go to Coachella?
I don't know. I've gone to Coachella.
Yeah.
I would love to go again.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I used to make it a priority, and now it's not a priority.
Yeah, no, me.
It's a lot. It's stressful.
It's stressful. It's a little bit dusty out there. I always get sick.
Yeah.
No.
It's a commitment.
Coachella is just a lot. It's very it's a lot, and I don't know. I just think I'm kind of over that.
Really? Are you gonna go, or do you?
No, I don't think so.
I'm like, if I get invited, maybe. But I just don't. It is a lot of commitment, and like, I don't know.
You know what? The reason I literally promised myself last year that I wasn't gonna go because I feel like the more that I started to get in tune with my spiritual side and meditate and like really work on my energy. When I go into places like that where there's a lot of energies around me, I get so drained. And I remember everybody was like, rah, rah, rah by the second day. And I was so drained. And they're like, Daisy, this is not like you. But I'm like, I had like 2 tiger's eye bracelets. I had over here another onyx. And I'm just like trying to protect. But it's just draining when you're dealing with a lot of energies.
Yeah.
And I just remember by the 3rd day, I was defeated. I told my friends, I was like, I'm not going. And they literally dragged me out of bed. And they're like, we're going. And I was like, fuck. But yeah, I just think I really am over the partying. I'm over drinking. I went to Hawaii.
Which is funny because you used to be known as that girl.
Yeah, exactly. And like I went to Hawaii recently. Oh my God, last week. Oh my God. That felt like such a long time ago. And it was a family trip with my mom, my stepdad, my brother. And as soon as we went to the first restaurant, they all start ordering drinks. And I'm like, oh, I'm not drinking. And they all literally looked at me like, what? And I was like, I'm being so serious, guys. Like, I'm not drinking. The whole entire trip, I didn't drink. I felt so good about myself because I don't know. I just really want to work on my sobriety. That's like one of my goals. I feel like, you know, and I talked a little bit about this on your podcast, but like alcohol really does change you. Did you know that the word alcohol equals to like spirits or something like that?
Really?
Yes. And so they say like when you drink alcohol, and especially when you black out, you're basically just like an empty body and your soul.
It's like you become more vulnerable.
Yes. And so that's why like they say that like, oh, when people drink, they become someone else.
And yes.
It's because supposedly that spirits take over your body, especially when you black out and people do things they don't remember or get aggressive or violent. And I definitely I feel like I wasn't the best version of myself when I was under the influence of drinking alcohol. So because I want to always better myself, I think that's like the next step is just handling everything sober.
Are you completely like cutting it out?
I am.
Not even like socially or like even like you're at home or have like
I haven't socially drank.
Okay.
I haven't literally and everybody like my family's being super supportive. I've had some friends kind of laugh in my face.
Like they don't think it's gonna be possible.
Yeah, they're like, yeah, right. Like, I don't know. I think, and I've learned not to take things personal.
Yeah.
But it kind of hurt me a little bit, just being like, you know, I consider you guys very close friends, and for you guys to just kind of laugh in my face is a little bit hurtful. But I'm not gonna take it personal, and I'm just, you know, I'm gonna prove to myself that I'm able to do it. Maybe on my birthday, maybe. Yeah. But right now, I just have no desire at all to drink. So
that's good though.
That's
it's like I agree. It's like that's why like right now I'm doing like a fast period, like detox. Like I'm not drinking or smoking, nothing. Like I want to start the year like very whole in my head.
Yeah, me too. Very just,
like give that devote, and especially like spiritually. Like it's more like a spiritual thing for me.
Yeah, me too. I know that when you are getting spiritual, like alcohol, it's like the one thing that really holds you back. And so that's another reason why I wanted to do it. I feel like also, I know, like I told you, I had a very rough day yesterday.
Yeah.
And my mom or like my family were like, just please, like, don't drink. And I'm like, you guys, like, I'm not. Because usually back then, how I would deal with my emotions was like drinking. Yeah. And so they were all like, please, like, because obviously, like, I'm here by myself in LA. And I'm in a hotel room, like people don't know what I could be doing. But I was like, you guys, like I'm genuinely not going to drink. And I think that's why it's hitting me harder, because I'm having to deal with my emotions fully sober and just kind of letting myself feel. And I literally told my family, I was like, look, because they FaceTime me, they're like, why are you crying? Like, stop, don't cry. And I'm like, you guys have to let me feel. Like, that is why I used to like have these outbursts, because I would bottle it in and not express myself. And I've learned to just let it, if I feel like crying, I'm gonna cry, you know. And I'm like, there's nothing wrong with that. It doesn't mean that I'm depressed. So yeah, it's just,
I feel like it's just they get scared like that, because that's what happened with me too, because I used to be super suicidal.
Yeah.
And my sisters would freak out, and like now she has my location and kind of just make sure like I'm okay, or like certain things, like some things will trigger me, and she'll like, are you okay, are you doing well, like what's going on or whatever. So I kind of get where they're coming from, because it's like they have that in the back of their mind. Yeah. So I get that.
I used to be very, I feel like I didn't want to say the word, but now that you said it, I feel like a little bit more comfortable. But I definitely used to be very, very suicidal back then when I was like more weak and vulnerable. And so because of that and like other things that play into it, they get very stressed out.
Yeah.
My mom literally was like, I'm flying out there. And I'm like, I'm fine. And I have people calling me 24/7 right now because obviously like they see what's going on the internet and they're just very scared for me.
Yeah.
But I'm like, you guys, like, I am okay. Does it suck? Yes. Like, but like I have to be the big girl and I can
You know
handle
how
it.
to manage it
I know
better
how to
now.
manage it. I'm more in control of my reactions and my emotions. And, you know, I really have learned to not let others dictate how I'm going to feel. And I think yesterday, because I was by myself all day and I hadn't talked to anyone like in person,
Yeah.
I was going like, I was having very dark, intrusive thoughts. And then like my supporters started to get worried. And I was just like, today I was like, okay, Daisy, like, you're fine. Yesterday was a bad day, not a bad life. They also like, at the end of the day, the positivity does outweigh the negativity in any situation. And, you know, the people that have been genuinely supporting me and that support me, they keep me so grounded and I just love them so much. And I was like, okay, like, you know, you have people that still want you on this earth. And I feel like I have a bigger purpose in life. So I was like, it's okay that I'm getting these thoughts, but I was like, let's maybe go to a therapy session.
Yeah.
So
You like turn and trying to make it look, trying to make yourself feel,
a little bit,
take
just
yourself out of it, basically.
yeah, because like I'm telling you, even Bramty was like, you need to snap out of it. Like you know who you are, like you're good. And I'm like, okay, like I just have to keep reminding myself because I feel like at some point I was like, oh no, like I'm getting those thoughts again.
And I feel like a lot of people don't understand that pressure, and they kind of see it as like victimizing, but I think it's a lot different when you are close to doing something that you shouldn't be doing.
Yeah.
That you know that like could just end up really bad for everybody else.
Yeah.
And I feel like people don't get the pressure. It's a lot, like, and that's why I'm always persistent on being kind.
Yeah.
Like, because realistically, anybody can be doing anything or going through something, or
You just
one
never
little
know.
thing could take them home and do something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I'm very like compassionate. I totally get what you mean about that.
Yeah. I feel like, ooh, I got this very, I had posted and I deleted it on my, I don't know if you saw it, but I got this one message saying like, you deserve to get beaten and hung and killed, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, that one really like almost took me, I was like, oh my God, that would have taken me off the edge.
Yeah.
Like the old me. But then I literally was just like, okay, like it's not true. You know, it's not okay. And so, I think just the pressure and just dealing with all, it's a lot, but I feel like I'm handling it the best that I can. And,
You are.
you know, I will say yesterday, I just felt so bad when I saw that you had to go and put like a public statement. That's what made me cry yesterday. No. That's when I started because I'm like, oh my God, I feel so bad because I don't want my friends or my loved ones to have to deal with my mistake. You get me? Like, and it's like, you can come for me all day. I don't care. I can handle it. But when you come for my family and friends, like it's completely different. Like they have nothing to do with what I've done. And so I felt so bad. And I remember I texted you, I was like, I'm so sorry you're having to deal with this. Like I was just, that's why I didn't even, I don't know. It was just like,
I know, you know what? And I did that because in my heart, I genuinely know, like, as a person, like as a person with compassion, like it didn't even have to do with like you.
Yeah.
It was more of like, because I've made mistakes, and if I were to say something, like I would not hope, but I would just want people to be like, okay, like I take accountability. Like I just want people need, like, I don't know. There's just, the world lacks so much compassion and kindness, and it's so frustrating.
Yeah.
And I needed to make it clear, like, you can't control what I'm going to do with like my life or my podcast or this and that. And I think people forget that. And that's why I was mentioning, like, God's grace is so endless. Why can't I extend that same grace with other people?
Yeah.
Or why can't you extend the same grace with this person? You know what I mean? But no, I genuinely, like, I'm sorry I made you feel like that.
No. It didn't make me feel like, I was just like, oh my God, like, and I looked at it, I was like, she just has such a beautiful, kind soul, you know. And I love that you said that, and it was such a beautiful video, but it made me cry because I'm like, oh, like I just don't want this to affect the people around me,
Yeah.
because you know, obviously, like I'm my own person, and I don't want like, or like my family or my friends, and but yeah, I was just like, I think I just wasn't trying to cry, and then I was like, ah. But I just want to say thank you for being so understanding and forgiving, and just you.
I appreciate it. No, I think I try to be that way because that's what I needed when I was younger. And I feel like everybody needs that person.
Yeah.
And I would love to be that person for you. I've told you. I even messaged you. I'm like, don't worry, like I'm gonna be here. But I want to be that person for everybody. The same way I am with Shadi.
Yeah.
Or the same way, you know, taking care of people is literally what heals me and what
Yeah.
brings me joy. And it probably will bite me in the ass or whatever, but I'd rather do something good and like leave this earth knowing that I did good things with my heart or kind.
I was gonna say that I feel like you are such a light in a lot of people's life, to where oh my god, I wish everybody had a Jenicka in their life, because
no.
because even like you saying, like you being you know, you're there for like Shadi, and I'm sure she, like, you were just not like, how would I say it, like not like a mom to your friends, but you just have that like nurturing.
Yeah, I'm the mom. I'm
You
the
have
mom
that,
of the mom. I'm the group. I'm the mom of the group.
you're like a nurturer, and you're an empath, and I feel like everybody does need somebody like that in their life.
Thank you.
I think it's just a very beautiful thing.
Thank
Especially
you.
because you've gone through so much, and because like you have been in the spotlight, and you know, you've dealt with a lot of, I remember you even texting me, you're like, I've dealt with this, and I'm like, oh my god, I forget that like literally you have been dealing with this since you were so young, and since like the internet has changed and like everything. I'm just like, I don't know how you dealt with that.
No, and I appreciate it because I feel like could have been so bitter about my life, about anything, like angry with this. And for a time I was, where I was young, I was like, why the fuck do I have this? Or why is this my life?
Yeah.
And I've kind of just learned to like twist it and do it for the better, and
Yeah.
not be a bitter person, because at the end of the day, bitterness kills your heart and your
does.
spirit. And I'm so like, I'm grateful that I switched it, because I honestly, if I held on to that bitterness, I don't think I'd be alive. Honestly.
You like having that mentality of like always thinking negative and everything. Yeah,
exactly.
I've thought about that as well. Like
because it literally is proven it can kill you. Like it kills you.
Holding
internally.
grudges and like having hate for people. That's why literally I have no hate for anyone in my heart. And I remember when I was younger, I'd be like, oh, I hate this person. And now that I've learned and I've gotten to like in touch with my spiritual side, it's like you have to literally let go or get dragged.
Yeah.
It like you have to let go of people that have hurt you or anything that has held you back, because it literally kills you.
Yeah.
It is crazy though how like holding that energy in, like literally.
And I feel like it's underestimated or like overlooked in a certain way. It's like, but it's really, it's so much, it's so powerful. Yeah. Like it really, once you stop even worrying about other people's lives. Like everyone's so consumed about everything else except their own.
Yeah. And
it's like, you're literally draining. It's taking the energy away from out of you.
You're giving that power away.
Exactly.
That's something else. When you react or when you throw hate or when you know, do things out of not the best intention, it does take so much power away from you.
Yeah.
And like a lot of people don't realize that. I learned to not react because it does take away power, and it's like you're giving away your energy. And I feel like because I want to preserve it, I'm just like, okay, do not react and do not take anything personal. Have you ever read the book, The 4 Agreements?
I've read parts of it, yeah.
That book changed my life forever. It's such a great book. And it teaches you on there to not take anything personal. And any single time that I feel like something gets me mad or sad, I'm like, I can't take it personal. And I just kind of kill it with kindness and move on.
Yeah. Yeah. For sure. It's I feel like everyone has their own process too, like learning. Yeah. And like that's why again, like having that compassion and grace, like okay, they're gonna get it at some point.
Yeah.
And understand it.
Do you ever talk in accents?
Yes, I do.
Really?
Yeah. I saw a TikTok the other day where like, oh, if your girl talks to you in an accent, that's how you know she really likes you or whatever.
For real. I used to do the craziest accents back then.
I'm like, do I really like this person or am I just weird?
For real, I never thought about it.
Are you making me that uncomfortable that I have to talk in another accent?
You just bought a house. You just got a new house.
Yes.
How is that? How is that going?
It's good. I feel so good going in there. I had sold my other house because I was, for my safety.
Yes.
I just feel like too many people knew my address. And at that time, I wasn't too big on like, I was letting everybody in. And I want to be very careful now who I let in here.
Yeah.
And my dog had passed away in that house. So I just felt like I need to let it go.
Yeah.
Like I had so many beautiful memories in that house. And I'm like, you know what? I could do so much better for myself. So then I got this one and I just feel good. I've got it anointed and prayed over and blessed and everything, which is like super huge for me. But I am very grateful. I'm doing so many good things. And I think that it's a huge responsibility.
It is.
You know it. It's a lot.
It's a lot.
Especially in LA. It's fucking
so
crazy.
Expensive.
But I'm very grateful. I love it. I love it so much.
Aww. I feel like wait, do you have anyone living with you? Or
I have my roommate with me. Yeah.
Oh man. I thought you were living by yourself and I was like, oh my god, you're about to get so weird because
I used to live by myself.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like and to maybe the people that know this, like when you live by yourself, I am just so weird when I'm by myself.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Even with my roommate, I'm like, don't come in my room. If you see me walking outside, hey, just ignore me. I'm in my world right now. Yeah, just ignore me.
I feel like you really do. I learned that you have to learn. Oh my god, I used to always say like I'm so lonely or but you have to learn how to live with yourself because that's how you really get to discover yourself.
Different.
It's so different. Like the rawest version of you is when you're alone with your thoughts. And I feel like
there's certain things that we like. Or like when we're by ourselves, it's like it brings so much content and joy. Like, you know, I'm gonna go back home, be by myself, and do what I love.
That feeling. Yeah, I love that feeling. I've always wanted a roommate, but dude, because I've lived by myself for so many years, I don't even know how I would be able to do that. How was it going from living by yourself to having like a roommate?
Well, I lived by myself in my old house for a long, long, long time. Then when I was like going through my depression and like things like that, that's when I'm like, okay, can you guys come? Can you come live with me? And I had a boy and a girl, so I felt like better having a boy there because obviously like manly things, you know, there's certain things that I don't know, like I just felt like okay, I feel a little bit more better,
more safe.
So I did, and then it's different. I set the boundaries for myself, like okay, this is my house, this is kind of like how it's gonna go. If you guys don't like it, then you know, whatever. But they respected it. I love them. They're my best friends. So they kind of know how I am. Yeah. And they kind of give me that respect. Well, they do give me the respect. So it's different. I would recommend it. I would just like obviously setting those boundaries. It's different when it's an apartment. When it's not your space, when it's not fully yours. But I always love living alone too. But it gets scary. It gets scary sometimes. It
does get scary. I always get asked, like, don't you get lonely or, like, isn't it scary? And I'm like, it is just because for safety. Yes. I think that's what I mostly get scared about. So my brother has, you know, my family members have keys to my house. And there was this one time where I didn't know that my brother was coming over. He just randomly popped up. And I remember I was already in bed. And I heard the beep, 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 like somebody opening the front door. And I was so terrified, and I was like, oh my god, somebody's in my house, like what am I gonna do? And in that moment I realized I have nothing to defend myself. So I was like, oh my god, like that's something that I never thought about. So him, and I remember I was like, you motherfucker, you scared me. But that made me realize like, oh my god, as women or just even living by yourself, it's like it's so terrifying. Unfortunately, because I am an immigrant, I can't have anything to defend myself. So I bought a bat. Mood. I went to Walmart and bought a bat.
I have a hammer under my bed.
Okay, period.
Yes, I have a hammer. I'm not one to use like anything else. Like that's just way too much for me. But I'll I'll fuck you up with a hammer if you come popping up in my house.
He said, don't try me. But I remember I showed it to my brother and I was like, I bought a bat. And literally, as soon as he went like that, he grabbed it out of my hand and he's like, Daisy, what are you gonna? And I was like, he literally just yanked it out. And he's like, what if I was a robber and I just yanked it? And I was like, well, you didn't give me time to prepare.
Get a hammer.
And then
get a hammer.
I'll probably get a hammer or a couple more things. Oh my God. But it was just so funny when he yanked that thing out of my hand. But it can be very scary.
Being by yourself.
Being by yourself, being a woman. I did open up on your podcast about an incident that happened to me. I wish I would have waited to talk about that, or I wish I would have never talked about it, but I don't regret it. Just because, you know, with everything going on, I feel like it wasn't received with as much, or it wasn't received the way that I expected it to.
For sure.
But I understand that because of my mistake, anything that I say moving forward is going to be picked apart or, you know, not believable, or, you know, and I'm okay with that. I just felt, I went on Daisy Diaries and I posted the screenshots of the security guard that helped me out.
Yeah.
And I genuinely, I was like, look, I'm posting this just so you guys can know that this, like, this can happen to anyone, you know? So I posted the screenshots and I was like, look, I just want you guys to know that this is real. And just to be, I did that so girls can be just more careful, you know, because I never thought that would have happened. But with the whole, like, talking, because we're talking about the safety thing, literally I learned my lesson from that, and I grabbed this, like, emergency button that I travel with now. So you click it and it immediately sends, like,
especially that you're alone by yourself a lot,
hotels by myself all the time, and it just I just learned
triggered.
It definitely, I think having to, I made peace with what happened, but I think having to not only relive it, but people being like, well, you deserve that because you're a horrible person, or, you know, something worse should have happened. And I was just like, I just wish I can sit here and be like, I wish people were more understanding, but at the same time, I can't control.
Yeah, that's what I told him. Like, we can't make everybody happy.
Yeah, and so I think just by me posting that, I was like, look, I just want you guys to know, like, just to be more careful. Don't go out by yourself.
Yeah.
Take care of your drinks. Make sure that you have people that you trust, you know. And then a lot of women started coming forward and telling me their stories, and I'm like, oh my God, dude, it's just such a scary period right now.
Have you seen those little cup condoms?
I did. I have seen them.
I want to get them so bad.
You know what? I'm gonna get us some after this, because, like, girl, we need a condom on our cup.
I know, us not drinking right now.
For real? What? But we'll have them in our bag,
like,
for other
they're
people.
like little rubber bands or little condoms. Something that's so smart though. But it's for real. Like, I've had friends that same thing. Like, they'll get, especially in LA, like, and you would hope that it wouldn't happen. That's why I don't go out, girl. Yeah. I don't, like, I told you when I was going for New Year's, going out, like, I never do it in my life. Like, I have to really want to, like, okay, maybe, like, let's go out, let's have some fun, like, listen to music. I won't get fucked up. I'll have a drink here or there, a couple shots, but it's like, I'm so particular, and I'm like, are you anal? Like, do you scan the room when you go into places?
I don't.
You have to.
But, like, that's why, it's because, like, when I was, like, in my party girl era, I would just go in there and I'm in my own world and I'm like, I'm gonna get fucked up and I want to dance, and I never went in there being like, I want to be the center of attention, or I can't wait to see who's there. I literally was just kind of like, I'm there to get fucked up and to dance, and that's my only. So I was never looking at it that way. But after that happened, oh my God, like, I was just so paranoid for a while. And I don't know. I think when something like that happens, it just really does change you. And
it does.
I just never saw, like, clubbing the same and stuff. And but even at that, I still went out. And I'm just like, I don't know. I didn't want to feel like a victim. Like, I was just kind of like, look, I can either sit here and cry and have that dictate my entire life. And
I feel like that's the part that confused people too, because they're like, she went to the club the next day.
And I want to talk about that because, like, I feel like you won't know it, but, like, when you get sexually assaulted or when you go through something like that, people will either have the choice of being a victim or being a survivor. Mm-hmm. And because I have been through a lot in my childhood, I was just like, I'm not going to sit here and be a victim of what happened. I'm like, it already happened. I can't change it. So I remember I went to therapy and I got help, and I was like, okay, like I made peace with it. I'm not gonna hold hate in my heart. I'm not gonna hold a grudge for what happened. Like and I don't even want to say like I'm a survivor, because then people are gonna,
Yeah.
I feel like they're just gonna, I don't know, try to twist it. But that's why, like, my way of, because I felt like my power was taken away that night, my way of taking back the power was going back to the place where I felt like it was taken, because I didn't want to be afraid of it. I didn't want to, because I knew that if I just stayed in my room for the next couple of days, I literally was just going to cry and get depressed and probably like harm myself or something. And I feel like unless you have gone through it, then you know that you can either do both. And I knew that I just didn't want to be stuck in that same spot, in that same mental headspace.
Yeah.
So I knew that I probably shouldn't have gone out to the club, because I literally remember standing at the club like after it happened. I was just so sad. I went for like 15 minutes, but I was so sad, and I went back and I'm like, Daisy, did that even make you feel better? Deep down I knew no, but like on a surface level I'm like, well, like I got my power back. Like you can't, I don't know, like I don't know. It's just,
It's something like people can understand though.
yeah, it was just, I don't know. But also people were like, why are you, they asked me, they're like, why are you just now talking about it? You just want people to feel bad for you. But it's like, no, it was, I had no idea you even knew about that night. I had no idea. Like I was so blacked out, Jenicka, that I don't even remember seeing you that night. Like
Yeah.
I was just, that's why I was like, when you brought it up, and it was, and I didn't want to get that dark.
And people, no, and I'll say sorry for interrupting you, but it's like when you're healed and you've done like something inside of you to make yourself
Yeah.
aware, like that's when
You're able to like talk about it. Yeah, like I would have never, that I never wanted, I honestly, I was never going to talk about it ever. I never, somebody was like, why didn't you wait to talk about this? Maybe people would have been a little bit more compassionate. But I'm like, I was never planning on talking about it. I'm genuinely so comfortable around you. So when you, and you even said like, we can take this out if you want. But I'm like, no, you know what? Like maybe this will bring awareness to people that to be careful when you're out. So I didn't even think anything of it. I didn't think that, people were not gonna believe that it happened to me or anything. But yeah, I posted the screenshots on Daisy Diaries and just gave people a little bit more insight. And it was just a crazy scenario and story, and it's it's out there now, so it's just kind of like to anyone who's watching this, just know that there's help.
There is.
It's okay to I was
Be safe.
Be safe. I was honestly so ashamed to even tell my mom that, like,
Well, I mean, you kind of had no choice because they called her, right?
no, but she didn't know about the hickeys on my body. So she had just left, and it wasn't until I got in the shower.
Oh, yeah.
And like, I was like, should I tell her? Should I not? She's going to be like, I told you. So I was so scared to tell her. So, it wasn't until I went back to Texas that I told her. But, I was even scared to tell some of my family.
Yeah.
Cause I don't know. I
it's think just sensitive. Like,
it's sensitive. And I felt disgusted with myself, but then I made peace with it, so now I'm able to talk about it now. You get me? And like I'm here for women that have been through it, and it's
a part of your story.
It's part of my story, but it doesn't define me.
Exactly.
Nothing in life. I've learned to not let mistakes or things that have happened to you or people define you, because only you know who you are at the end of the day. So
for sure. I agree.
I
love you. I love you so much.
You're so good at eye contact.
To you. Really?
Yeah.
Because like I'm comfortable with you. Maybe I have to think about that.
I'm like, I feel like you're eye fucking me, Jen.
Really? Oh no.
No, I'm like, I do want to talk about, and I want to say this in the most respectful way, and we don't have to talk about this if you don't want to, but one of my biggest fears in life is to lose my mom. And I think about that all the time. And I literally tell my mom, I'm like, if you leave this earth, I am leaving with you. And I made her, and she's like, what do you mean? And I'm like, I swear to God, Mom, I feel like I will not be able to be on earth without you. And I just want to kind of know, like, how did you deal with the loss of your mom? Like, how was the grieving process? Like, what helped you get out of it? Like, how are you now?
Now I'm a lot better.
Okay.
Because when I started therapy, I would always, my therapist told me, like, you didn't grieve properly, And I'm like, you know what? You're right. Because when my mom passed away, I went to church that same day. I was in a little group to sing, right? the worship team. And that same day I still went. And I'm like, this is the only way I'm going to make it out. Like, I'm going to like honor God and honor, you know, this moment that I'm living right now. And I wouldn't allow myself to cry. I wouldn't.
Really?
Because I would see my siblings and that hurt me more than, you know, everything else, because I knew it was just a bunch of things where it's like there was a whole thing with my sister going on at that time. I'm like, so I felt guilty about that as well. And I had to do a lot of work where it's like, okay, I know it's okay to cry. Yeah. I hated people seeing my weakness or seeing me very vulnerable. Yeah. And, you know, I thank God that I kind of got out of that. But I did have to, like, it was really hard. I hated crying. That's where my anxiety started. It was like, that's when I know, like, anxiety became very prominent to me, and my social anxiety, because I would go to school and they would stare at me, and it would make me 15? So uncomfortable. Oh my Daisy, God, like, everybody would look at me, and it was like, and I wanted to go to public school to have a normal experience, go to prom and all that stuff, but I literally couldn't. My first day of sophomore year, you know, when you go to school, was it sophomore year or whatever, when you come back from Christmas break, like the first day of school, everybody would just stare at me. And it was already like that pressure, like, and it was December 9th, and then it was Christmas, and then you have to go right back. So it was barely like a month. Like, you didn't really have time to. No, I didn't. So it was just a lot. It was very hard. And like, I have a friend whose mom passed away a day after, well, a couple years later, but a day after mine. After my mom, and she would always tell me, like, I just don't understand, like, how do you do it? And it's like, I would not be able to do it, and I wouldn't be able to do it without my siblings. Absolutely. If I was an only child, oh God, like, I don't know what I would have done. It's a lot of pressure, and it makes me sad to say, like, you know, I probably wouldn't have been here, but I've literally hung on by a thread at times where it's like, I just can't. It's so hard, and it's very scary, and it probably sounds bad to say this, but if she wouldn't have passed away, I wouldn't be where I'm at now. And I say it, like, obviously with respect. I would love to have my mom here and do amazing things, but I've grown so much, and I've seen so much, and I understand so much more about her as a woman as well, and trying to, like, it's a lot harder because it's more public. Like, at least with my dad, like, I could see him as my dad. And my mom, it's harder because she was an artist. So it's that constant reminder, and then kind of just replaying in my head, or like, there's certain triggers where I'm like, I can't listen to her music at times, or I don't like the sound of her voice. And it's like little things like that, but it's different for other people because they can just move on. And for us, it's like, we're constantly reminded.
It's on the internet.
But honestly, it's like, by the grace of God and my family, like, I've been okay. I've learned to, like, manage it and kind of just understand and feel my feelings. But honestly, like, that, it was a very prominent, it was very difficult and prominent time of my life. But I am very grateful from whatever it is. And it's like, God does things for a reason. Everything happens for a reason, and it's kind of like, okay, I kind of understand now. But yeah.
Oh my gosh. Because I try to put myself in your shoes, and I literally don't. Like, you are so strong, you and your whole family. And, you know, I feel like if someone were to go through that, somebody could have been bitter at life, or with God, being like, why did you take her? And you decided to, you know.
And I was for a bit. Like, really? I wouldn't lie. Like, I would be so upset. And even recently, too, like, I've had to be like, well, why wasn't she here to tell me certain things? You know, like, why couldn't. But I understand, it's like, I have to discover and experience the journey on my own. You know, and that's why, like, I'm not afraid of things hurting me anymore, because that is one of the greatest pains, like, of my life. I always tell my friends, I'm like, there's nothing else that's gonna hurt me more in this world. If I have a boyfriend and he breaks my heart, I'm probably gonna be fine. You know, like, it's nothing more heartbreaking than that.
Than losing your mom.
For sure.
Also, because your story is so different because you are the youngest.
Yeah.
And I remember in your podcast you said that, like, you know, the experiences that your sister had with your mom, you're never going to get those. And
Yeah.
that broke my heart because I'm like, oh my God.
And I feel like that was just starting to happen because I had just turned 15.
15 is like that age that, like, every teenage girl, it's like, that's when, like, you feel like life is hitting you, and that's when life barely is starting.
Exactly.
Oh
But I've learned to, like, accept it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm still going to have a beautiful wedding. If I
Yeah.
wanted to, I want to have
Yeah.
a beautiful wedding. I'm not going to have my mom there, and that's okay. I'm going to probably, if I have kids and I don't have my mom there, it's going to make me sad, but I'm going to be okay. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And it's kind of just seeing things, like,
from that perspective.
and kind of just remembering, like, okay, she's still here no matter what.
Yeah.
And under, like, watching me or
She's
whatever.
watching over you.
Yeah.
That kind of made me feel a little bit more safe, just because it is true. You are going to be okay, and death is something that's inevitable.
Yeah.
Like, my mom always tells me, todo en esta vida tiene remedio excepto la muerte.
Yeah.
So when I feel like it's the end of the world, she's like, are you dying? And I'm like, well, no.
So
And she's
true.
like, okay, then there's a solution. She's like, you have to be, and my mom keeps me so good, and she's like, you have to be very thankful that you're alive, that you're here, your family's healthy. And I think that's what I keep reminding myself. I also read somewhere that grieving is always going to be there, like the loss of someone. You never really get over it, but you can just walk around it.
Yes.
And I was like, wow. The only, like, I haven't had someone like that close to me pass away, thankfully, but man, like, grieving and losing someone is hard. Like,
it is. It changes everything in your life, though. Like, it just gives you a perspective on everything. Like, it's like you really have to cherish what you have.
Yeah.
And I always tell my friends, I'm like, if you don't fucking pick up your mom's call right now, I will pick up the phone myself and tell her that you're not going to want to talk to her. Like, I will put your ass on blast. Like, it's like, it's little things like that, little details that it doesn't hurt me. Like, but I am going to be that friend for somebody. Like, please answer your mom's phone call, or please, like, spend some time with her. Like, you're over here spending time with your friends or whatever, and you haven't given her the time of day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like, I'm happy I can be that voice or that person where people can be like, okay, I get it.
Yeah.
I get what's going on.
Yeah.
You know? But
Oh my gosh.
yeah.
You're so brave.
Thank you. No, you're brave. We're
like,
both
no, you're
brave.
brave. We're like the Spider-Man meme right now.
Yes.
You were talking about your dad's passing.
Yes.
When at what age was that?
He was 12. I was 12. He was 12. I was 12.
So that happened first.
That happened first.
Do you feel like the grieving process was different?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
It was different because he was already gone, technically.
Okay.
He was in jail.
Okay.
So I wouldn't see him as much. And then he got sick.
Okay. So.
Because our systems are fucked up and they don't care about, you know, like, yes, they're in jail, but it's like they don't really care.
Mm-hmm.
So he had gotten sick.
Mm-hmm.
And he was the most healthiest person ever, Daisy. Like, he would go work out, run on the, like, track, and, like, play there, do push-ups, do whatever he can in a jail cell. Like, it didn't matter. And I can't remember if he got bit by a spider. He got bit by a spider and got an infection, and that turned into a fever, or he got a fever, one of those. At this point, my memory, like, flares and goes in and out, but he had gotten a fever, and it turned into double pneumonia. So then he got intubated, and his lungs just, like, fucked him up.
Like, just gave out on him?
Just gave up. And then it was a lot different because I couldn't talk to him. Well, either way, like, everyone always asks me, like, would I rather know that my parents are passing away or not know? And I feel like knowing is a lot better. Like, if they were to get sick. Because I've experienced both.
Is it because you were mentally preparing yourself for it versus it just like...
Yes, exactly.
Ooh, actually, yeah, you're right.
Or, you know what I mean? It's kind of like... I'd rather know, so I know exactly, like, I don't know.
How to prepare, what to expect.
Yeah, for sure. And that's, like, the difference between them. Like, I knew something was going on with my dad,
and then
even if I was super young, and then my mom passed away just, like, randomly.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, I see that.
Yeah. But it was, and I've always, like, he was a great dad. He was part of my life. He... you know, did what he could. They were separated for a while. we would obviously like the co-parenting. I would spend weekends with him and all that stuff, which is normal. And then he had gone to jail, and it was kind of like slowly, and like, you know, I wouldn't see him as much.
Yeah.
So it was kind of like preparing me for, I was already like
Yeah.
getting used to not having him
Around. Yeah.
yeah, for sure.
Well, I'm sorry.
Yeah, no,
I'm sorry you
don't
experienced that,
be.
and I know it's made you a better person.
Hmm.
I wanted to ask you that because I'm like, okay, I don't really have anyone that can give me that insider advice, and because it is one of my biggest fears,
Yeah.
it's scary. But like you said, hug your mom, call your mom,
Yeah.
spend time with your mom, just your family in general, because
And I love that you spoil her.
I spoil my mom so much.
I love it.
I love my mother so much, and she's my best friend, and she's my rock. That's what she's calling me because she's so concerned. But I'm like, mommy, I swear I'm okay. I'm fine.
Yes.
Um, who who would you say are like your comfort people? Who are like your core friends right now, like at this moment?
My best friends.
Okay, and they live with you.
Yeah, one of them lives with me.
Okay.
Her name's Val. My sister.
Your sister.
Both my sisters.
Okay.
But for different reasons. Like
Okay.
Jackie, like I love going to her for certain things, and then I love going to Chiquis for certain things. And me and Chiquis live like 5 minutes away from each other
beautiful.
now. So like I'll just
I
pop
love
over.
that.
Yes. Like it makes her sad though. It's like she just wishes that I stayed with her forever. But I've had to work on that relationship with her because she would always be like that mom figure for me. And I told her one day, I'm like, I just want you to be my sister.
You know, I struggled with that.
Yeah.
I struggled with that because, and I feel like maybe it's like an older sister thing where we feel like we need to take care of the young ones. But it wasn't until my sister Nicole was like, Daisy, you need to stop trying to protect me from everything. She's like, I have to learn on my own. If I get hurt, then let me deal with it. And I'm like, and I remember, and Nicole's so young for her to have that. So basically what happened, she had done this like story time on TikTok. And it's still out there saying how, you know, she got grounded because she was like skipping school and she was with her boyfriend, stuff, whatever. And I, as the big sister, told my dad because I didn't want her to get pregnant. Like I was just thinking in that mind, you know, I'm like, I want her to be safe. And like, so I thought, I was like, oh my God, she's going to stop sharing her location with me. She's going to hate me. Like, I was like, she's not going to talk to me. We're going to get into a huge argument. And all Nicole said was just like, why'd you do it? And I was like, look, Nicole, I was like, as your older sister, I just want what's best for you. I was like, I just think you need to be a little bit more careful. And I'm like, you know, I'm sorry I didn't, but a lot, in most situations, it's like a lot of things build up to that point. So I felt like it was necessary. But she would, when she told me like, Daisy, you need to just let me get hurt. Let me learn my lesson. And I was like, you know what? And I gained so much respect for Nicole because at her age, I would have not responded like that. She's 18. I don't know. This happened actually when she was 17, I think. I feel like if I was her age, I would have been like, fuck you, like stay out of my business, like as a younger sister. But when she said that, I was like, oh my gosh, I was like, you know what? You're right. She set her boundary with me. And I was like, you know what? You're right, Nicole. I do need to let you learn. Like, I'm sorry if I came off as like a mother or like, and so I told her, I was like, I'm sorry. Like, I won't ever do it again. And she's like, you know, I'm sorry too. It was such a beautiful conversation we had. And now we laugh about it and we're sharing locations again. And I genuinely thought that I had lost her trust, but I gained her trust back. And trust is just a really big thing.
For sure.
Just with any type of bond or friendship that you have. And so that's where I kind of learned like, okay, I need to take a step back and like just let my younger sister. Yeah, it's just that older sister. Oh my God. Shout out to all the older sisters though. I will say that because I feel like
it's a responsibility. I give props to my sister a lot.
I give props to the younger sisters though, because I feel like I learned a lot through my younger sisters. And I'm like, wow, like I wish I would have done this differently. Or like, I feel like we all just teach each other a lot. But yeah, they definitely keep me grounded. And yeah, well, I just want to say thank you so much for coming on here. One last question. What are you most excited for this year?
This year,
2024. It's barely January.
I don't know. Honestly, I don't. I my whole thing recently is not having expectations and kind of just letting things
Trusting
be.
the process.
Yes, trusting the process in every aspect.
Yeah.
Like my career, financially, like everything. Like as long as I'm whole and grounded here,
Yeah.
I'm just gonna let everything flow. And kind of just, you know, not force anything, and whatever comes my way, I will accept it and kind of just go with it. You know what I mean? So I feel like I don't know,
love that. I
no
love
expectations on anything. Like I kind of just want, I want to be like a free bird.
Okay, I love
Like
that.
let's just let things be. I want to travel more. I really
Yeah.
want to, like, I want to go and travel the world. I feel
What-
like I'm missing out on that.
I'm very excited to just see what 2024 has in store for you.
I'm so excited for you too.
I'm happy
The
for the both
growth.
of us.
We're so dumb.
Oh my
Cute.
god. Well, thank you so much for coming and for being here and for being such an amazing person in my life. And I'm
Thank
just
you.
thankful. And I hope you guys enjoyed this episode.
Yes,
I will
thank
have
you,
all of
guys.
Jenicka's socials down below, and I will see you guys next time. Bye. Guys.